Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Dave, and bringing back to the channel, Elliott from Hakuna MaChatter, as we once again go live to talk about Star Wars Celebration. We have 5 days away, which is quite scary. It's sort of hitting us harder now that it's this week. It's not, oh, it's soon. It's not, it's months away. It's this week. It's this Friday. It's 5 days away. And we're here to do another video to, give you all a bit of advice, answer any questions people have, and go over some tips, tricks. And this week we're going to talk about London. Elliott, of course, you live there as well, so thank you for coming on for that. But more importantly, how are we all doing tonight?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good. I'm really happy with myself. I've got all my cosplays ready ahead of time. Especially like this week, I'm starting a new job tomorrow and I'm training, so it's good that I'm just done. I don't have to worry about it.
No, yeah, perfect.
Having a good weekend. It's just like crazy today, going out buying a new case just to bring with me because I didn't have a little suitcase. So like just little things now, kind of getting ready for the off, and like because I leave Wednesday night, I get the night bus to London, so that'll be a fun time. So yeah, so it's just crazy that it's crept up to being here. It's I can't wait.
Definitely, and it's so close now, and I think that's what's kind of scary that. I can think back to watching Celebration on, the limited streams we had last year, that middle of the night announcement, London, me messaging everyone, go book this hotel right now. It's cheap and it's on site, which is probably the best bit of advice I've ever given to someone, to many people. And I think I know about 10, 15 people staying in this hotel now, which is quite remarkable. But as always, we want to hear from people. So do ask us your questions. If you're curious, if you're wondering about certain processes, if you think we can help, even if it's things to do in London, what else to do, Star Wars stuff, we're going to go through, obviously not just London as a whole, that's insane, but we're going to talk about some of the important stuff like the travel and transport in this week, some Star Wars filming locations that's in London, maybe some little things we can recommend. And I've gone through and got a few events I know is happening outside of the convention that Star Wars related that people might be curious for. So there's going to be it's the week now. There's people, Matt from Blue Panther is in London right now. He's been exploring and it's been fun following his Instagram from the different places he's going to. I know Star Wars Explained has landed. I know a few people at airports right now. So it's like the next few days is where everyone's going to start flying in, which is really exciting because obviously, I don't live in London, but I'm glad I don't have to fly anywhere else. That it's just a simple train on Thursday. I say simple train.
Simple train might be a weird phrase to use right now.
But so everybody, please do get involved. And what we'll do at the end of this video, we'll talk about some of the plans for Celebration for coverage on the channel. We don't have anything nailed in yet, but I'm going to talk about what I would like to try and do and stuff I know we will do. And as always, go find us on our social medias. Twitter and Instagram at @cinema_savvy, Facebook letbox.com/cinemasavvy. A link to Redbubble in that description below. But first of all, Elliott, we'd love to have you back on here.
Yeah, mate.
Normally I love putting people on the spot with questions. I mean, last week was easy. We had Alden, and it was just a simple what do you want to do in London? Obviously, I can't really ask you that. London. Okay. But what are you looking forward to most for Celebration? Just a nice polite one to get going.
Yeah, sure. I think it's always just the excitement, right? Of just everyone who is gathering on one spot that loves this one thing. I'm so used to going to the XL for MCM Comic Con twice a year in May and October. And it's great there because you get to see everyone's love for the thing, like the singular thing that they love. If it's Marvel, if it's Star Wars, if it's anime, if it's Disney. But on this occasion, we're all coming for one thing now. And so I think that's just going to bring such a different energy. And I think, especially with the way Star Wars has been in like such fluctuation with the fandom over the past 7 years, I think I really hope that it will just be a place where it doesn't matter what bit of Star Wars you love, how little of it, how much of it, we're all just going to get on and have a good time. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Absolutely. And that kind of being said as well, I think for me, at least, Star Wars is my favorite. I don't want to say fandom, but Star Wars is my favorite entity, IP, whatever time you want to use for something like that. And I'm the same. When you've done MCMs, it is everything. It encompasses all sectors of geekdom or however people want to talk about stuff like that. But there's just something about Celebration, and there's nothing more childish than comparing franchises. But when you have its own convention, and it's one of the biggest conventions every year, it's up there with, you know, probably not, obviously not San Diego, but like attendance wise, probably not far off New York, right at the top of the big ones. And all for Star Wars. It just makes it so much more exciting. And it shows really how much there is to Star Wars. There's so much, not just going on for the sake of going on, but if you're talking about history, genres within Star Wars, eras within Star Wars, behind the scenes, there's decades and decades worth, which is just incredible. And I know that when Kevin Feige spoke in the past, he's always said, I'd love to do a Marvel convention like Star Wars Celebration. And it, to me, I know that every convention, every show sort of has, like, you know, I know the Star Trek conventions, Destination Star Trek, and there's a lot of, you know, other subgenres, but there's never really been anything official. I know Game of Thrones has just done one for the first time, actually, a month or two ago. But it's amazing that this started in 1999, before the Phantom Menace, and it's just gathered nothing but strength over the decades. But kind of bringing you in, Dave, as well. This is your. I mean, we all spoke before. We were all at London in 2016. Which is amazing. It's one of those small things, right? When you don't know people and then they're all there. Obviously, Dave, that's really got to meet you. Charlie, who's on the channel, she was there as well. It's always fun finding out who's been at events and whatnot. And Dave, just tell me what you're looking forward to, not just the trip down, but like if you could pinpoint something.
I'm not looking forward to the trip down at all. I don't know who's going to be on that bus, my friend. So yeah, I mean, the convention as a whole, I had such a great time in 2016. I got to say, like, met yourself, and that has led to all of this joyousness. But I think it's just going to be the whole celebration again, like you just said, like, of everybody coming together and celebrating this thing, and it's what we love. And it's a weekend where I don't think anybody is going to sit and you're not going to get people moaning about things. People are just going to go. People are going there for the enjoyment and love of this thing, not to go and belittle parts of it, no matter what their feelings are in it. I don't think you'll find many negative vibes coming from people on this weekend. I think it's just such a positive place. I think that's really helpful for a lot of people to be in that headspace when they get there, to kind of feel like that, oh, I'm amongst my own people and can just relax into it, rather than going to something thinking, oh, can I be myself here? Do I have to put a front on? Absolutely not. You're amongst your people. You don't have to worry about that at all. You can really just go and chill and really just take a deep breath and enjoy what's happening around you.
No, definitely. And kind of in like that, I mean, you mentioned referring people. One thing I'll say about aggro, to a polite point, I don't like giving them airtime. The Fandom Menace. So when I went to Chicago, I remember there was loads of murmurs before. Oh, the Fandom Menace is going to stage like an anti-Lucasfilm protest. There was no one there. There was like one or two people. And it's those things, right? At an event like this, you know, social media is an echo chamber. It's who you follow. It's tailored to who you are following or what you interact with. And people think the world is their smallest bubbles of bubbles online. And it's just always incredible for people to realize that's not how the world functions, that's not how life functions. And especially for this, you know, people aren't going to spend hundreds to fly and do stuff like this, to come over here, hold up a sign that's like, you know, Kathleen Kennedy, please leave. Of course I'm going to do that. You know, and
what? I have to get rid of my sign? Oh, no. Okay.
It's just, you know, you don't really get heckles there. And sort of one thing that we've got Matt, who's taken time out from his trip in London to thank you. So thank you for watching. One of the twats from Australia, Tanner. Listen, I will say this. I don't think there will be any. But, you know, if there are any Australian, but this is it. Chicago's how I met Matt. You wouldn't think that sort of thing happens, but that's how you get to meet people. And the Matt, that reminds me, if he's watching, I've got his tote bag still. I was going through getting my poster tube back yesterday, and he gave me this incredible tote bag. It's like Blue Bantha milk. It's based. It was the tagline was incredible. It was something like basically YouTube without the weirdo screaming, along those lines. But I don't think any from Australia will turn up, and if they are, we'll be very British. We'll just be quiet and let them continue as they are. You got Karuba T. This is his first celebration. He's excited for it, and this is it. And I think there's people where this convention has grown in stature over the years. One thing I think, I can't remember, was last week on the video spoke about, Dave, but I've got a photo on my computer of the map from 2016 at the XL. And then I compared it to the map of this year. And, you know, we've got another floor this time. There's a lot more space. It looks smaller per se on the map, but that's because it's got like the end rooms. The scale of the XL building, do not make that map think that looks small.
Gosh, yeah.
It is humongous. And there's going to be so much for people to do. It's just go back to his hotel after drinking some Cascos and get some ice cream. Brilliant. And
sounds like a good night.
This is it.
Right.
Everyone follow Matt, by the way. He's on his Instagram posting where he's been going. He's got a rooster. He's been doing the tourist stuff. And this is the fun. You're getting to see people that cross-continent, that if you see online, you chat to online, there's an insane time zone. Everyone's there together. And I think that's so much more rewarding. And I think that's as much as the enjoyment as you're going to get from an event like this. And we're going to have to segue to get into some of the event because this is top of the list. And we know this is going to be a difficult conversation to a point. And as I said, and I think there'll be a lot of people that are upset. Let's just talk about the panel results from the lottery. Let's get it out of the way.
I'm just going to take my headset off. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Because each week we've come on and we spoke about, I think when we did the first one 2 weeks ago, the applications you could still apply. Last week was the waiting period time, and then they all started coming through on Monday. And I guess me and Phil spoke about a Bad Batch. We've been quite lucky. The group, is myself, Phil, Dave, and Robin, who's not been on the channel before. But we're obviously going to talk about Elliott. I know we spoke a lot offline as well. And this sounds terrible. That I'm glad we've got not differing sides. That sounds terrible.
No, I know what you mean.
Not as fortunate in the lottery system as we were.
Yes, I got 0 of the panels, and in the group chat, I've been very vocal about it.
You were in a full group of 4, though, which is what caught me off guard the most, because the panel system is. I know a lot of people, and again, first celebration, and even if you went in 2016 and haven't been until again this year, it's all changed. And what I'm going to say, it's harder for me to have the authenticity to be like, oh, you'll be all right. Because I know I've got into 3 and I've got into the one I was desperate to be in if I was only going to get 1. If that makes sense. Matt got 4 out of 5. And this is it. And I know that another group of Australians got 0 as well. Basically, what I'm going to try and pinpoint is we're going to talk about the OVERSPILL queues because we want people to have a chance to try and get into this panel still. Granted, some will be annoyed. Oh, don't tell them the secrets. There's not secrets per se. But we're just going to try and give everyone advice because we know a lot of people would have wanted to go on specific days for specific panels to see specific people. I'm fully with you on that. 2019 in Chicago, I officially got into 0 out of 5. There was 5 mega ones because it was a 5-day event. And I was very lucky that I found myself into the episode 9 panel on the streaming stage. And I managed to get myself. Oh no, sorry, I got 1. I got the Mandalorian streaming stage, and someone I'm friends with gave me their celebration stage ticket for the Phantom Menace because they didn't scan their QR code, and I ran like I've not run in a while. 2019 was a terrible year for me. But first, I'm going to say, if you haven't been on your Growtix account, which is the company who all these draws were done, please go and check it now. There's a lot of people that went email say they got into panels, so do check it just on the off chance you might have something. Obviously, we can't guarantee anything, but I'm trying to politely segue over. Dave, can you just talk about panels? Because I don't want to. It's hard to talk about because we know we've been lucky. But what are your thoughts just on the lottery concept compared to maybe, should we say, 2016?
Yeah, you're right when you say it's a different world now in what they're doing this wise. I mean, when 2016, I've said before on these talks that I had a hotel for 4 nights, and I think in total I spent about 6 hours over the weekend in my hotel. The rest of that time I was in the convention hall and I slept kind of on the floor of the XL waiting for because they gave out wristbands. They queued out overnight. 8 o'clock in the morning they gave out wristbands to the panel the next day, so you kind of guarantee if you wanted to get into a panel you had to sacrifice some comfort and having to meet people who you still have to talk to these days. It's awful on these podcast things. I don't know. So yeah, you could guarantee though you could I'll sacrifice a night and I will definitely get in that panel because I'll have a wristband. And you look in the morning and the queues were lining right to the XL for people turning up to try and get them. So it was a really nice way of doing it. Yes, it wasn't great for like maybe families and things like that. But then I don't think this is kind of working that way either. So yeah, it's a very different world. You're able to guarantee if you wanted to, you made sure you could get into every panel you wanted to with that staying on the floor.
Yeah, so I mean,
sorry.
Sorry to just kind of cut because
That's all right.
when I went to 2016, I only went on the Friday and I rocked up. It was kind of the first real big convention I'd been to, and I'd kind of rocked up having no idea what I was doing. I was with a friend who had been to Star Wars Celebration in America before, and he said, let's go over there. We're going to queue. We're going to see if they've got any wristbands left for the panels. And we went over, and I managed to get a wristband for the Rogue One panel and for Mark Hamill panel, and it was great. But I turned up not knowing what I was doing, and therefore zero expectation, and I got into the two big panels of that day.
Yeah.
So I think there is something to be said for the overspill queues. And the only panel that I really wanted for this weekend coming was the Ahsoka. So my sort of what I'm going to be doing, which I guess anyone who is feeling the same way that I am about it, is look, the major panels, they are on at 11 o'clock in the morning. If you get in the overspill and you get in, great, you're in. If you don't, you've still got the whole day to go and do stuff. And so like it is trying to just get over the frustration and the annoyance, and then realizing, I've already loaded in about 5-6 other panels for all 4 days that I want to try and get to. So it's not as if there isn't something to do. And as I said, the most important thing, the thing I'm most looking forward to about going to the convention is meeting new people and chatting to fans of something that I equally love. So yeah, it's a frustrating system because it's ended up with people getting 4 or 5 panels and people getting 0. And it just amazes me that it was allowed to happen in the first place. But hey, there you are. You got to play the cards you dealt.
But I think you're right in that as well. That with this lottery system, yes, it's absolutely that. We all saw it. It's a lottery. Your names are put into a thing. You'll get something. But I think it takes away when people have waited for so long. There's a lot of people going for their first time and going to a big convention, and then you apply for these things, and you write the excitement bills that I could be in a room where I could have this celebrity who I've seen or this star from this film is going to be close by, and then especially people who got 0. That's the real kicker. That people who got 1 were probably like, oh, I got 1, that's great, I'm into something. It is the people who got nothing who are then thinking, well, now do I spend? You're right. The fact it's 11 o'clock is great because you could go on the overspill queue. By probably quarter to 11 that you're not going to get in that room, or you are going to get in that room. Fantastic. Let's go find out what else is on. Yeah. So that's it is a plus side, but I do think you're right. That shock of like, oh, I really wanted to do this thing and I'm not maybe going to get to do that at all. It does take away. It's a big element of it for this. I think that's it is a bit of a kicker.
Yeah, and the thing is, and my kind of stance on it is because I know how tricky it is to get in, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to say, oh, I had a bad time before. No, like that was shit. That was like the night before. I'm pretty sure Matt was with me when those emails started going around Chicago. Everyone just started, you go on Twitter, right? And we had a group chat, thank God, where we've all been able to help each other. But you don't know until people start tweeting that you get. Yeah. If you haven't got in, you're not going to know until you've seen someone else say they've got in. Yeah. And Chicago was tough because flying like to a different country, never been before, stuff like that. Episode 9, a new Star Wars TV series. We didn't know what the Mandalorian was going to be at that point, really. We'd have the photo. There was Phantom Menace for me, anniversary, the first one I ever saw at the cinema, really important thing. And I was not broken as such, but I was like, it hits you hard and there is no hiding. And, as I said, the 3 we've got into, we're lucky with was, Lucasfilm on the celebration stage and then Ahsoka and Bad Batch on streaming stages. And Dave, so Phil was on a flight back to England. And when you did the lottery, they told you, you're not going to get told if you've got in. Only the person that created your group is going to find out. And when people started getting their pings, me and Dave were like, we're not going to know till like tomorrow when he lands. And then they started emailing everyone individually. So, and when they come through, you don't know, is it going to be across a day? Are they going to, allocate some and then come back the next day? And it's a really frustrating experience. And what I will say, I don't envy the decision makers because I don't think I don't know if we know the capacity for the XL, right? I think usually Celebration, I believe there's maybe a circa 100K that go to events like this. It's a massive, massive convention. Yeah. And obviously the big thing me and Dave, we've spoke about, we don't know the size of these streaming rooms. We don't know how many they seat. We know that the group sizes went from 6 to 4s, which is understandable. If there's going to be less seats, there'll be less people. You look at Anaheim, look at Chicago. I mean, the Chicago McCormick Place, its main hall was like literally the O2 Arena. It was like tears that wrapped around. It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it for a convention. And, it's going to be harder. And kind of what we're hoping, with the overspill queues, because if people don't know about these overspill queues, the way it works is if you come in the morning, and this is, as you said, the beauty of these being at 11 a.m. Rogue One, I believe, was like the last panel of the Friday. And the headliners were at the end of the days because when they were streaming them, it worked out very well for time zones. By them being first thing, you are not spending hours out of your time on the off chance you get into a hall. And this is the most important thing for anyone going. Go for the overspill queues. And as people say, there is no guarantee. And we know that's hard, that there's no guarantee. And you just need to think, if there's a panel you really want to get into, there will be other people exactly like you. Even if it's, Villains of the Sequel, not to sort of diss that panel, but that's probably the lowest key of the 5 they've done wristbands for. But there'll be people that are desperate to go in there still. So don't think, this isn't going to be as popular. It's going to be popular. People are going to want to be in that panel. So the advice I'm going to offer, which maybe people don't want to hear, don't go to the celebration stage overspill queue. Go straight to that Galaxy stage for 10 a.m. Because what I will guarantee anyone watching, and I can't do the full story, Dave knows the story, when I got into that episode 9 panel, that was due to somebody that wasn't interested in not being at the celebration stage. And I very, very happily got that QR code. So, there will be people that are probably frustrated and angry. They're not in the main event panel. They didn't get into that one. And they just might not go. They might think, maybe I've got the celebration store. I'll just go in there because I don't want to watch this on a stream. Now, I think that's nonsense. The atmosphere in the streaming rooms at Chicago were equally as good as the celebration stage. Everyone, they've got like DJ Elliott's, I think, going to be there again this year. They do a lot of stuff for people there. Each stage normally has their own hosts. And you can have a really good time in those rooms. And people are still going to react the same as you. So do not look down upon the streaming stages. And if you do have the chance, it's just what I would be doing. I would be going to the streaming stages and looking at the floor plan. The Twin Suns stage seems very small. Again, the scale of the X I don't know, but it's in a completely different area, which we need to figure out for Ahsoka. So I'm saying you'll go to that Galaxy stage. It's the second biggest area. And I genuinely think there will be people. And because it's so early in the morning, I believe 15 minutes before the panel starts, they'll start letting the overspill queue people in. And people who try to do the show floor and lost track of time, you're in. So what I would say, anybody looking to do that, get in as early as you can. The queues we have now confirmed. The XL will open from 8 in the morning each day for people to then queue inside until 10. We're in Britain. There will be people queuing before the queue. There was a very long queue last year that made a lot of news. I won't give my thoughts on that. I had a relative, wait 14 hours. And I started thinking, I can't mock this because I once stayed overnight to get into a Star Wars red carpet. And it was worth every minute I waited. So utilize that. But it's tricky saying, get there before 8. Because right now we don't know. If you rock up at 7:30 on Friday, we don't know security might genuinely be like, piss off, come back at 8. We don't do a queue, come back at 8. And I don't know how it's going to work. We don't know the security companies. So many variables take into account that we won't know this until Friday. But all I can honestly say is just genuinely, if you're down, if you're gutted, do the overspill queues. You might end up doing well from it. And what I'd also say is, not in a horrible way, don't rock up at like 5 to 10, then join a queue. The people that have gutted, they've missed out will be there early. And I know I would be if I'd have missed out. Even if there's a glimmer of chance of getting into a panel, I'd have took that. And I think I would have for Kenobi, but hadn't clashed with Sunday because I'm leaving early that day. So, anything else to add on that, guys? Matt's book, good advice. But also, it's a good thing to do. He got 2 emails. The rest were in his online profile. And this is it. Check that account. You might have a surprise on there. But just, with the overspill panels, I mean, it's tough because people spent a lot of money to come to this event as well. This has not been cheap at all. Not aside from the cost of living at the moment, the lack of 4-day passes and how a lot of people that did all 4 days have had to buy individual day passes for 4 days. There's a lot of other stuff that's gone on in there. So I appreciate as well that it might not have been easy for people, hotels, transport, all that sort of stuff. And then to get, the knock of, in the panel that you really want to be in. I said, all we can try and do is hope. I know that some people have been trading QR codes on Facebook groups I'm in, which I understand. In 2019, people were selling them on eBay, which is insane. That was for the episode 9 panel. I don't know if people are doing that. I don't know if eBay can count stuff like that. But yeah, I think there will be people that do not go to some of these. And listen, try the celebration queue if you really want to be on that celebration stage. But my mindset is if I was going to be skipping a panel, it wouldn't be the one I got into the celebration stage on, if that makes any logical sense.
Yep.
But,
no, that's.
Yeah. Should we talk about something a bit nicer? So let's stick to planning. I'm not going to put a photo up. If you're watching this live on YouTube, if you were waiting before it went live at 8, hit refresh. Not 8, sorry, 9. If you join us throughout this, fine. There's a link in the description. I have designed a schedule for anyone that wants one to plan your 4 days. The reason why is because, yes, there's an app. You can put times in for what you want to do. But if you've got lucky, as I said, with not with panels, with celebration store reservations, if you booked autographs, booked photo ops, I've designed a schedule that's on a 30-minute basis for you to basically color in, type in whatever you've got to try and plan your weekend. Because what I would say, for me, I'm very ADD with stuff about this. I see Star Wars Celebration as not just, a convention I want to attend. Within that, I want to see my friends. I want to have a good time. I really enjoy going to panels. I like being organized. I like getting autographs, not as much as normal because of the insane pricing. But, I like to come prepared. And I like, the better you can make yourself the weekend, the better you can work around your own schedule, the better the time you can spend, you can allocate time. So if anyone wants a schedule, you're more than welcome to download it. It should link you to the Cinema Savvy G Drive. It should be unlockable for everyone. Just download a copy, fill it in. I did all of mine while watching Revenge of the Sith yesterday. It was great. It was a very chilled morning. And once I'd done my schedule, I realized, hold on, my Friday and Saturday is a bit top heavy. I was able to move some autographs to Sunday morning, which was the empty day. So it's there to help people. And I'm not saying, do a schedule, but what I would say, if you've never been to a celebration before, take the time out, look at those panels, look at what you want to do, doesn't matter what stage, where, put a note of it. If you've got things that clash, make a note. 2 things clash. If you want to try and get into one, you might get into you might not. You might then get into the other. There's so much going on. I would genuinely say having a plan's the best thing. Dave, is that too OCD of me to say?
I mean, it's very OCD, but I like the way you did it. It's a great
I just
thing.
had a giant red block that was like Arsenal game on the Sunday, and I've made sure that's not on everyone else's.
I just think it is really important. You're right. This year, there's for the London one, from what we had in 2016, there is so much more going on. Yeah. There are so many more fan panels that are on as well. So if you've got podcasts that you like listening to, there's a likelihood that they're probably going to be doing an hour slot over there. So I think it is important to have a look at your day and go, okay, I want to go to this, this, and this. And then you've got time to wander. I think for people who have got more than one day, I think it's a bit easier because you can plan to maybe have a quieter day on, like maybe a Sunday. You're going to do less things on the Sunday or the Monday. But I think it's really important, especially if you're going from like just the one day, to know exactly kind of what you want to fit in that day. You don't want to kind of go in and go, and then I went to this shop and I saw this store and then I stood in this queue, but I missed these 2 things I really kind of want to see because I forgot about it. I lost track of time. So it is good to have just something that's going to maybe even alert you, put something in your phone as well to say, like a little alarm just to tell you when your panel's coming around. I think that's really important to have. So we've all got probably watches and phones. They'll all be able to set alarms, just setting them for like 20 minutes for a panel. So if you're out and about on the shop floor or getting something to eat, I've got a panel shortly, you can make your way. I think planning it's a really relaxed kind of convention, but I think it is important to have a schedule for the things you want to do so you don't miss out.
Yeah, massively. The alarms thing is a really good idea. That's actually something I was thinking as George was setting us up for this section, because there's nothing worse than being on the other side of the XL and you realize in 5 minutes the panel you wanted to see is starting, and then you get there and it's filled out already. That's God, frustrating. Even at MCM, I think my friends and I, we tried to get into. Sebastian Stan had the main panel on the Saturday, and even we arrived an hour before he was meant to start, and they'd already closed the queue off. So yeah, and we had given ourselves the time. So it's really important, and the alarms definitely will help. And I think something as well, which I know you've got in the plan there, George, is about food. And one of the plans I've got is to eat my lunch when I'm in a panel, which kind of sounds mental. But if I'm going to a panel, if I'm going to a panel at 2 o'clock, that's lunch. That's when I'm going to eat my lunch. I mean, probably be midday. I'm going to eat lunch because of the time I'm going to be getting up and everything. But because you're just multitasking, and it's real simple multitasking then. And don't worry if the person next to you gets annoyed that you got smelly food. You're utilizing your time. So we're all going to be dressed in thick cosplay, probably smelling a BO anyway. So who cares?
No, it's a good thing to bring that because, as you said, multitasking.
My egg and sardine sandwich today. It's fine.
People as well. Like the XL. I mean, you've been to MTN more than me. When I would go, we would avoid having lunch at lunch. We take a very early lunch at like 11, or you're going at 3 because the queues are going to be insane. And thanks to Jed, who's obviously been in this channel. So when we spoke last week, I've been told through people I know that no one's allowed to bring food or drink, which isn't surprising given the XL. But Jed's been in contact with ReadPop, and they've confirmed this will help anyone, even if you don't need to be from England, you don't need to pack a suitcase. Go shopping. There's a Tesco around the corner. Go the night before. Go a couple of days before. Bring what you want to bring. You're allowed to take food in. It's been confirmed, but in quote sealed packaging. I don't know if that means Tupperware or just whatever the packaging is, but so you can now take food in, and obviously, standard bottles, water, do whatever you need to do with that. But that's a really good thing to know because, I think when I spoke the story last week, me and my sister, we got to meet Dave Filoni in 2016. Why? I went to Tesco and I was walking back to the hotel and I came across him, Ashley Eckstein, and Sam Whitwer with loads of Clone Wars cosplayers in some underground meeting. It was at the side of the XL. It was very strange. But it was cool and it was random. And I've got a Tesco bag in my photo with Dave Filoni. So that's something for the history books. Should have put that down, but I didn't really know what to do. And this is it. So that's going to save a lot of money. If you're on a budget, if you're trying to budget, if you send that special something you want in that store at those prices, fair play. Bring food. And it's not. It's going to be cheap. Even if you think it's expensive, even if you think it's more than a normal Tesco, that is cheaper than inside the XL. Mm-hmm. But there are going to be water refill stations.
And also think it's important. I mean, when we say eating your panels, sometimes that doesn't have to be a 3-course dinner. You don't have to have a lot of stuff. It could be, if you want to, that'd be amazing. Candle, things like that. Amazing little light. Romantic music, Star Wars. But I'd just even just have some protein bars, something like that. Just a quick something you can actually take some sustenance on. That's going to give you a little boost on energy. Chocolate bar with that as well. Just maybe something that's going to just keep you going until you know you're going to then get to be able to eat properly a little bit later. If you get a chance, big breakfast in the morning before you go in, not too much. In a lot of queues, you don't have to leave that queue thinking, oh, I ate too much, because that's bad time. We probably would let you back in, but there's a chance.
I mean, Chicago was insane. It's the only time I've been in America. So, seasoned Americans, don't take this the wrong way, what I'm going to say. We would go out for dinner after a day at the event, right? And the size of the meals in that city, I'm not going to say country, I'll say in the city, I was flabbergasted by.
Yeah.
In a great way, because no joke, one meal at night, I generally wasn't hungry till the next day, like in the evening again. It was insane how it was, and there was some incredible pizza places in Chicago. And I know that's its reputation, deep pan. It was amazing. But if you can strategically plan meals, so normally at conventions, I'd rather have a bigger breakfast, so I'm not hungry at lunch because I can easily function on 2 meals a day. If I'm going out in the evening for something to eat, great. If I'm going out in the evening for something to drink, great. But I make sure I eat as well because you want to drink on an empty stomach. And it's things like that are going to help you. If you've got the time, we're lucky. We're staying basically on site. Premier Inn's going to be having breakfast at 7 a.m., which is great. Mm-hmm. Can't have one every day. Or can I? We'll find out.
They do fruit as well. You're all right.
Yeah, that's I'll just have the one apple, please.
Well, we've done it before at summer, like when we've done Showmasters in London. We've done it before where we've swiped the pastries into a bag.
Yes,
and that's been stocking up for the day.
That's actually what my thing for giving out. I'm actually just taking muffins from the breakfast to hand out as swag at the panels. I've got a muffin. There we go.
Just trade them a meal for a celebration stage ticket. You'll be fine. But and this is kind of it. The food's just really important. Because again, you don't starve yourself, and also hydrate is the key one. You're going to be on your feet all day. Every week we say get your comfy trainers on.
The air is dry in the XL as well, so you need to hydrate.
Yeah.
You really are going to put your steps in that place as well. Like you say, it's not. You look on the map and think it's not that far from end to end. You're talking a good 10-minute.
20 with the amount of people.
With the amount of people, having to get round, which people be queuing and snating. There'll be so many people on the floor. You really need to think, getting one from end to another, maybe 20 minutes to get right through comfortably.
I mean, until the announcement this week, I guess what we'll talk about the celebration stage quickly. On the app, there's now like a mini FAQ, but I think this has gone unnoticed. If you've got an 11 a.m. celebration stage ticket for any of the big three, that's not the streaming stage, it's just celebration stage. When you go in past security, 2016, I can remember exactly how it will function. You go into separate queues. They're going to have a specific queue just for the celebration stage, 11 a.m. people. So if you want, you can join that queue. To me, that's great because when I looked at the map, I was like, the celebration stage is at the other end of the convention hall. It's like, is it just going to be this like insane like run when the doors open at 10? Because for Star Wars fans that want to know how it is, the XL is like, almost like a picture Jabba the Hutt's palace, right? And you've got the Rancor underneath. They open up that gate, and that is how this convention operates. And it's the same at MCM. Those doors rise, and what I will always remember was MCM 2017 when Donnie M was there. Love Donnie M. I'm always going to talk about him. Everyone was standing at the end where the autographs were going to be, and they hadn't raised the gates yet. And they did it on the one next to it. And me and my friend, I was at a much better size at this point of my life. We literally just ran. We sprinted, and everyone was going underneath the gate as it started rising, and people were already in the Donnie N queue because you had to. People will do stuff like that, and thank God I'm not going to have to run the length of the hall to get to the celebration stage. That's a good bit of advice, but there'll be people, no joke, at 10 a.m. They want to get to the store, they'll run to that queue. They want to get to an exhibitor who's selling a really cool exclusive they want. They might run there. We don't know how different it's going to be in the UK compared to American cons. UK people love queuing, great. But there will be people running. And, as much as I want to say these are all great people, these are massive fans, I'm sure they are. Some of them that are in those queues doing that are there to also flip stuff online. So please, that is going to happen. And it's a really shitty part of convention experiences, but it's a big part of convention experiences these days that people are doing stuff like that. They will get in those queues. They'll pick up as much as they can. I know they've been very strict on exhibitors that no one can go anywhere before 10 a.m. No one can start buying stuff before 10 a.m. Obviously, unless you're a VIP, and those VIP ticket holders, fair play to them. But that's a really important thing. And kind of talking about the 10 a.m. time, let's talk about transport. A really exciting thing for people. And it's like, I got invited on the channel to talk Star Wars. Like, no, let's talk about the tube.
Let's talk about tubes.
Yes.
The most important thing right now is that the Elizabeth line, which is the brand new. This is however many years they spent doing it. It's going to take us from outside London through London to the outskirts. It's going to make life so much easier. Star Wars Celebration is on the Elizabeth line when it happened 11 months ago. When people I know, and Sam, who's on our channel, is another victim of this, people who have booked hotels knowingly on the Elizabeth line, not anyone's fault at all, for the line to now be closed for the 4 bank holidays. So not Thursday. So you're there, fine to get there on Thursday. But Friday to Monday is shut. If you have a hotel, please check your routes. And for any overseas people, the Elizabeth line is purple. It's purple, isn't it? It's purple.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to be running on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. It might affect you coming out. Now, listen, the XL has functioned way before the Elizabeth line was ready and built. But I know it would have made life a lot easier for people. Even if you're going out for the evening, just know that isn't going to be there, and it will be a much more exaggerated journey, I guess you could say, if you're heading out and about. So that's probably is that the biggest sort of travel thing to give people advice with?
I think there's that. And I've noticed also the Jubilee and the DLR on the Friday. If you're coming from North London, the Jubilee line, I think, isn't operating before like 2:00 from like Stanmore to somewhere. It's okay again for the Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I just know that Stanmore, West Hampstead, which are the very other far end of the Jubilee line, and it's just the first 2 stops. There's no service between them for the rest of the weekend. So just for anyone on the Friday that has maybe booked a hotel on the Jubilee line that's come in on the Friday, just beware of that. You're probably going to need to find a way on getting onto the central line to Bank and then the DLR from there. The DLR, if you are staying, and this is my branch of the DLR, so this is what I've got to look, this is what I'm looking out for. There's going to be less frequent trains, and my branch is the Lewisham to Bank branch. There's going to be fewer trains because Lewisham to Bank isn't operating, but you can still, there should hopefully still be Lewisham to Stratford, and then you get off and change at Poplar and get on the DLR branch to Beckton, which will get you to the XL. So I think those are the only other ones I've noticed that really affect getting down to the XL. I think anything else, you should be all right.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of advice to give to people as well. I've never downloaded it until this week because I got charged for something I shouldn't have. Download the TFL app. Because it sounds like I'm not doing any tourism for London stuff. Don't worry. I know but it helps. If lines are straight, it will tell you if there's disruption, if there's delays. All this stuff's going to happen. Even if you're in London for a week, delete it when you get back. Delete it when you're leaving the city. You don't have to ever worry about it again. And what I have now is I've got it set up where my contactless cards are on the secondary app, so I can see the journeys. Because basically, it turns out I did a beep and I used 2 cards at the same time. So I got charged a couple of days after. Obviously, they refunded it when they know it is different. But if you want to track your journey, you're trying to track, how much is it spending? How much is it spending on the tube each day? Obviously, it caps at a certain amount, but it's just good to have as much info about the traffic because, for everything we spoke about, right? Getting there early, getting there before 10, getting there for 8. You need to know. You need to be able to make sure you're going to get into those times. And a good friend of mine was caught out. He was getting a train on the Friday morning to Paddington from where he lives. And then it was going to be a nice, easy journey. Paddington's through to the XL, of course, no longer happening. No. It would now be about 50 minutes to an hour for him to do it. He'd be getting there after 10. He's only doing one day the Friday. And I said, listen, come drive to the Premier Inn, which he's doing. Park with us for the day. You can come with us early. You're going to be fine. So there are options. I know that XL has its own car park. Prices are insane, but there are options for people that are traveling. But really, just stay on top of it because you don't want to. I know it's no one's fault, if there are issues with the train stuff, but try and do as much, info. Because what I will say about XL for people, that don't know London, it's so easy to think it would be like Central London or something. Like again, I think back to Chicago, and just the concept of America. You look at the big cities. They're blocks. London is streets. London is not old school. It's not like it's an old school thing, but it's not. I'm trying to think of the right term. London's a very big city. It's a very big city. A lot of these. If you think of the American cities, right, the skyscrapers, they have smaller capacity building upwards, whereas London is sort of start in the center and build your way outwards. That's sort of how London has tried to grow it, and the XL isn't remotely in the middle. And it's easy to think that it would be, and it can be a hassle. And the Elizabeth line would have made things a lot easier for everyone. But just if you're planning stuff in the evenings after, do take into consideration, what time you might need to leave the event, what time you want to stay at the event. We've got a comment from Mr. Motor saying, I feel like there's going to be a massive crunch getting through security. Why would they pick the tightest entrance next to the station? I can't lie. I can't remember what entrance they used in 2016.
Well,
there's a few
MCM last October, what happened is, you come out of the station, and they will probably, before you get to like the main entrance of the XL, they'll likely divert us down the side of the XL. So we're now on the west side, walking to the east side. And then they start the security queue once you're down the other side where they've got more space. Because if Mr. Modius, you're thinking about that entrance that overlooks the grassy area, that is too small to be ferrying everyone in. The last 2 MCMs, October and May, they sent everyone down the side of the XL to the east side and then through the hall space in there.
Yeah, you sort of turn the corner, you go up like the ramp, don't you? And then it is much easier. So, and I'll say that to people as well. It's a very big building, and walking around it, it's not. Think of like football stadiums and the scale that you're going around places like that. Walking around it is its own journey. It's not something you can do in 30 seconds in 2 minutes. And like I said, take everything into account that there'll be people queuing early as well. And also, even with the bags you're taking, you can't tell someone what to take, but they will be security checks. They'll be going through your stuff. Don't have anything you shouldn't have. No, I'm not saying that, but if you're going to really smartly lay out your backpack, which is what I do, right, to try and make sure more stuff can fit, I try and only take what is necessary because I want to get through security as soon as possible. Post tubes, I've seen people at conventions where security's throwing their posters on the floor, which is mental. And I've seen people with valuable posters get damaged from stuff like that. They won't be doing that at an event like this. They'll know that people carry postage tubes, and this is a big thing. But do take into consideration what you're taking into the event. They will do a very thorough job of checking through that stuff, which is equally as important. They do that. But it's all this stuff is really important for when you're getting into it. And kind of, I'm sorry, I'm just looking for the schedule. I mean,
I just want to add as well, on just while we're on the tubes as well, before we leave it, always remember you can, if you have a contactless card, you've got your card on your watch, you've got your card on your phone, you can use that to enter the stations. You don't have to queue for a ticket. You don't have to get a ticket, an actual paper ticket from the machine. You can beep yourself through. Yes, it does I don't know what the actual amount is. It caps you for the day. You beep in and beep out on a
depends where you're coming from.
What debit card, watch. It will get you through much quicker than you will see a lot of people still queuing for tickets who probably don't know or don't have contactless cards. I don't know if people traveling in from other countries have that on there, the cards to use. But if you do have it, it is such an easy way to get through the tickets.
And while you're on that, if you tap in with your card, you then have to tap out with your card. Don't tap in with your card and then tap out with your Apple Pay, because it will charge you twice, like what happened to George with his accidental double tap. It registers it as a different payment method. So make sure you always tap in and out with the same physical payment method each time.
No, definitely. And that's an important one. And this is it, doing this series, we've done 3 of these so far, but we're trying to help people. And listen, you're going to get a lot of help. There's a lot of experienced people. Some really good channels have been doing tip videos as well. But anything we can do to help, we're going to do it, because the whole purpose of a convention like this is people there to celebrate Star Wars. It's a community angle. These aren't as corporate as you can discuss it. Yes, there'll be high ups there to present trailers, panels, marketing events, all that sort of stuff. Yep. But the fundamentals of this convention was always in celebration. The first one was just before, literally, I think almost days before the Phantom Menace came out. And I think Anthony Daniels speaks quite highly of the event when I think it was like torrential rain. It was like a small building in America. And, it's just grown and grown and grown over these years. And it is important. And what is important is that everybody gets a fair chance and everyone knows some of these tips to help it, because we all need to have a good time. I want to have a good time myself. And if other people are knowing what to do in that area, it also helps me. Not rudely saying, get out of my way. Here's a great thing for people traveling in. And this will be the thing that gets me. If you're getting on the tube and if you are a tourist, go on the right-hand side. I beg you, if you're with your friends, please go on the right, because someone's going to just say move or tap you to move. Yeah. And if you don't know, you don't know. That's understandable. But just the traveling around London is one of the best for any city. It's efficient, and it's only efficient when people are working as well and making sure it's efficient. So that's a really big thing for me. I get that a lot with football games. I can get very agitated. Obviously, I'm not going to be rude or cross any lines, but it is one of them things. If you just didn't know, it's a good thing to know heading in, because some people are here now, like Matt. Some people, I know Alden's flying in on Thursday. There's going to be people coming all over the next couple of days. And in a bit of lighter news, apparently the weather isn't going to rain for the 4 or 5 days as it originally was meant to do. So I have an umbrella to take with me, and it's a big umbrella, but it's a rainbow-coloured one, like the Jango Fett in the rain thing. Because my parents have had it in the car for like 20 years.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm really hoping it doesn't rain. My Ray cosplay is very thin and very white. So
sexy Ray time.
But this is it. And like even the weather stuff, like trying to tell people, I mean, Chicago was an experience. In the space of 5 days, there was sun, there was rain, there was snow, and there was wind. I've never experienced it in my life, anywhere like that before. And obviously, luckily, it snowed when we were inside the building, so it didn't affect me, and we got an Uber back. And I think for that celebration, they did like coaches to the big hotels, which was really cool. I don't think they'll be doing that with this, because most of the nearest places are very easy to get to. But all these sorts of things go hand in hand. And if we talk about some other stuff for London, because we're not just here to tell you about trains and tubes, we've got a load of different things we want to talk about. I put the question mark what to do. It's a loose term. Listen, anyone flying in's probably got a whole load of tourism stuff they want to do. Matt, if you're still watching, I'm traumatized by the place he went for breakfast today when I saw on his Instagram, on his Twitter, sorry. It's completely caught me off guard that something like that exists. But apparently it was great, which is more important. But how do I say this? Like, we've got a few filming locations people might want to go to, right? Let's do the really easy Star Wars thing first.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put you on the spot and be like, recommend somewhere good in London. Because that's just something. But the obvious one everyone's going to flock to, Canary Wharf Tube Station.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it now from Rogue One, Star Wars fans do. And I know that's going to be a big tourist hotspot. And in line of that, it's so close to the XL, I think even more people will go there. It's on a lot of the lines. We've also got the Barbican, which was used for Andor last year in season 1, which was it the flats that Cyril lived in? It was something like that.
I think it was some of the areas of Coruscant. I remember when it came up. I think it was some shots when it was either Cyril or it was Val. They're walking through Coruscant, and it was I remember distinctly going, "That's freaking Barbican." So it's some of the Coruscant shots anyway.
And one place no one can go to, but I love bringing it up because I like when F1's terrible at the moment, but they filmed at the McLaren F1 automotive center. It was like the Coruscant Airport thing. I saw it in the morning. I was like, wait, is that the McLaren building? And then Brilliant. Everyone started getting the photos up. It was like carbon copy. They did shoot there. So Barbican and Canary Wharf are going to be your two obvious filming locations. I know some people have gone to Elstree this week. I would say that's incredibly far out your way to somewhere you can only get outside. And I would say the same with Pinewood. Obviously, I'm not at my old job. If I had been, I'd be sneaking people in on the sly, here's a quick car tour. I promise I'm not making money off this. Then he would lose his job. But studio-wise, you can get outside Pinewood. If you were really desperate, if you really, really wanted to, I want to do a day trip that's outskirts of London. Then obviously Pinewood and Elstree too, but they're not easy to get to. They're not necessarily tourist areas. They're isolated for those very reasons as studios. And I'll just chuck in a very quick one I like because I love the James Bond films. Right next to the convention center is obviously the O2 Arena, where the World Is Not Enough's incredible pre-title sequence took place. Now, the reason we're also plugging that here is because a lot of the evening entertainment stuff is also at the O2. Even if you're talking restaurants, even if you want to do something for the night, and maybe you're staying at the XL like us, maybe you're in the surrounding hotels. I know if you're in Canary Wharf, if you just want to go out somewhere for the evening that's not too far out, you've had a long day, you've been on your feet, you're tired, genuinely the O2 Arena is going to have you covered. I think in 2016, me and my sister went out for dinner there every day at the convention because it's so close and accessible. And now there's a lot more. There's bowling stuff there. I'm pretty sure there's a karaoke bar. There's a lot you can do there.
They've got big outlet store in there now as well. If you want any fashion stuff as well.
Cinema.
I've been there and got £120 in there.
Oh, I think I lost you there. Did my connection just drop out?
Yeah, just slightly. But I think I'm better now. Yeah,
perfect. Sorry about that. So yes, do check out the O2. As I said, there's a cinema there as well. They've got the outlets. One thing I will say, something I was gutted about, me and Dave, I know we spoke about this. Disney are doing a 40th anniversary screening of Return of the Jedi. And it was going to be for D23 members. Don't really, doesn't mean you have to go to the convention in D23. Anyone could sign up for a free account, basically. They said it's going to take place at Odeon in Covent Garden. And I was like, okay, it's quite far out. Saturday night, okay, that'd be cool. Never seen Return of the Jedi on the big screen. Would be great. It's the anniversary, blah, blah, blah. And $50 plus tax. Now, don't get me wrong. London cinemas are expensive. And Matt, if you're still watching, I know we had a lovely chat yesterday. So without spilling beans, he watched Dungeons and Dragons at the Odeon Leicester Square. And he sent me the ticket price, which, and listen, it's an amazing cinema, but I was caught off guard with how expensive that is.
I recommend if people are going to watch a film while they're in London. If there's a View cinema nearby, they're usually the cheapest at the moment. They've kind of capped their prices. So if you are wanting to go to cinema on a budget, View cinemas, there's one in Stratford, which isn't too far from the convention centre, and from that area. So that would be my recommendation on that front.
No, exactly. And I kind of what I wanted to follow up with Return of the Jedi. I'm not here to moan because I'm looking forward to Celebration. Listen, some people might not mind paying, $40, $50 to watch this film. They might be flying into a country. It's great. It's a Star Wars event. There's going to be, quote, a gift for people going. It's probably the price of a popcorn, knowing how much they are over here as well. But I've just I don't want to sound rude. Like if I was organising this screening, and I know there's only 2 screenings, right? Why wouldn't you just do it at the Cineworld around the corner?
Yeah.
Or
in the convention center itself.
Yeah. Or if you are going all out, why not just go around the corner and get one of the Leicester Square cinemas? Not in a snobby pressing. Like every press screening is basically in Leicester Square these days, unless you're at the junkets at the hotels. They could have. It's Disney. They could have afforded, and I would have loved nothing more for an insane. I mean, listen, I'm very excited for Return of the Jedi anniversary. I know there's a panel on the Saturday, but yeah, Dave. Even I'm pretty sure they've had something other celebrations where there's been a giant screen up where people could just go and watch whatever they've got on.
Yeah,
I mean, something like that.
I don't see why they can't use the celebration stages, the streaming stages. They've got 3 rooms set up to show you something on big screens. So why they wouldn't put a movie on a night just before people are going out, where people aren't maybe want to go getting into London and finding places if they're already going to be there, and could maybe say, right, we're going to show you going to put Return of the Jedi on. It could have been Return of the Jedi over the 4 days, but so people got an opportunity to keep going and seeing it. So I just don't see why they're set up to show that they can put in a Blu-ray into the machines they've got in the back and put that up on a screen. That's not a digital copy on a laptop. I don't think that's past what they could do. And people could have sat and just gone in and been part of the convention experience, not having to pay $50 just to get your ticket. Then you're going in and you're getting your snacks, and that's where you're going to build a price. You're probably talking for that screening maybe $70, $80 for just a screening of a movie you have on Blu-ray and download and Disney Plus and everything else. I just think it was so easy where they could have got an easy win for that convention, especially some people who didn't get into a panel. Maybe I can go in that room on the night and I can sit with a load of people who really love Star Wars and watch Return of the Jedi together. Would have been electric.
Yeah. And there will be, and there's a lot of great stuff on. I mean, I pinpointed a few things that I've seen, and I say there's a variety. I'm not going to all of these, but I've spoken to a few people. I know what people are going to, recommendations. I don't know if I have a review of your own, so we'll go through a load of stuff. But the one thing I know is happening kind of on site each night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. There's something called the Intergalactic After Party. There's quotes. It says at the X. I think it must be one of the buildings next door to it. Is almost on site. It's £5 a ticket, and obviously you go in and buy your own drinks and stuff like that. It's not bad if you want a night out. £5, Star Wars centric themed, of course. It's I think it's almost the official celebration after party is the term for it. So that's happening where there's still tickets available. I think on the Saturday and the Sunday. Well, there was this morning. There's another event happening on the Thursday called Boon to E4. Now, the pod racing fan is very excited. Obviously, pod racing isn't real, so they don't have the targets there. One day, it'll be many generations away, but one day someone's going to build a pod racer, and I'll never get to see it.
So wizard.
Yeah.
So, Boon to E4 is happening on the Thursday in Canary Wharf. My understanding, and this may be for the autograph people out there, it's almost like a mini convention in the evening. But it's more of the old guard that aren't signing at Star Wars Celebration. I can't remember some names because there's 2 events where there's a lot of sort of people signing, but they're almost for guests that are going to be there. I think it's run by it's like a Star Wars autograph news outlet, a really good one on Facebook. But that's a little event. If you're into stuff like that, have a look at that. Matt's put in the comments links. I should have probably prepared. I will get links after. Then on Friday. In Greenwich, Chase, whose Twitter is at aka that gay Jedi, he's doing a big Star Wars queer meetup, which is inclusive for a lot of people. It was really cool to see that being advertised. A lot of people going as well. that's great if you're into stuff like that. If you're not into stuff like that, it's really interesting to see what this celebration does. It brings people together, different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds. If you're going to an event and you don't know anyone there, having events like that are going to help. If you're part of that, and listen, you don't have to be gay to go to an event like that. Obviously, it's for everyone to go to. So that's something I wanted to bring, which is a really great thing. So that's the Friday night in Greenwich. I really should actually have got links, shouldn't I, or posters or something.
I'm just around the corner from Greenwich. I want to go check that out.
I'm just telling people stuff. Sunday is a big one. There's 2 big events happening. So this one, I think they might both be sold out. I don't know. There's one at the O2 Arena called Cantina, and it's basically going to be like a gig. And I think DJ Elliott's going, who does a lot of the convention stuff. I think there's loads of like Star Wars bands or Star Wars centric bands going there. That's like, when I say the O2 Arena, I'm guessing it's one of the smaller parts at the O2. Like it's not in the middle where there'd be like 10,000 people, but it's one of those buildings probably in the. If anyone's not been to the O2 before, picture a football stadium. I think the Rams for NFL have this now. You have your pitch in the middle, and then around the outside of the pitch, they've built like everything around it. That's sort of what the O2 has become, which is great. It is literally, you can spend the whole night there, a whole day there. So that's Canteen on the Sunday. And there's also the 4 Centre Comedy Night, which me and Dave are going to. That is being done by the 4 Centre Podcast, Joseph Scrimshaw, Ken Napzok, 2 of the best podcasters for Star Wars, and always have been as far as I'm concerned. Have learned a lot from them, and a lot of great people who have real good understanding on Star Wars, and have learned a lot from them. They're doing a stand-up night, which I cannot wait for, because their comedy is very good if anyone's seen some of their stand-up online before. So that's at King's Cross. That is sold out, I believe. But again, there's so much stuff happening. There's probably loads of meetups I've missed, but anything people are curious about, Ash are playing, and it's sold out. So, I mean, not to put you both on the spot, we've got a lot of comments coming through, so I'll bring them up, people. I'll bring them up after. Do you two know anywhere? If I not missed anything, I would have missed a lot of things. But what would you like? Let's say, I don't know, you've had a sick day on the Saturday, you want to go out for the evening. Like, what would you want to do? Where would you be going to?
I mean, you've kind of already given the O2, which is North Greenwich on the peninsula. You can then grab a bus from North Greenwich, about 15 minutes. It will take you into the main town of Greenwich, Greenwich Village area, which I think if you want somewhere that is a bit more sort of town centre feel, it's just beautiful. And if you're here, like either, if you're not going to all the days as well, but you're going to be in London over that time period, and you want a little day out as well, you've got Greenwich for that as well, because you've got the observatory, you've got the Maritime Museum, you've got Greenwich Park, you've got the Cutty Sark as well, and you've just got, there's especially on the weekends as well, you've got Greenwich Market, which is a food market and a goods market. The food market is gorgeous. You get some really nice food on there. So, I mean, I'd really recommend that. You can walk up and down the Thames there as well. You can even, if you really fancy it, walk from the O2 along the river down to the Cutty Sark and into Greenwich Village as well. So I think if you want something that's really easy, that's nearby, I recommend that. Plenty of pubs as well that will all claim to be, one of London's finest, oldest pubs as well. One of London's oldie pubs, as we like to say. So definitely check some of them out. I think just something close and easy. And also, if we're talking about some filming locations, you've got the Maritime Museum where you can see where some of the second Thor was filmed as well. So yeah, that's also a little recommendation. Les Mis and Pirates of the Caribbean as well. Some of that was filmed down there as well. So lots of good stuff you can check down there. And then, I mean, otherwise, I mean, if you're in the evening, I know some people were probably planning on trying to catch a theatre show as well. Obviously, London's West End, famous for that. And there is a show that has just started. They've actually they would have just had their press night on Friday, I think. It's called, the cut down title is called For Black Boys. And I saw it last year. It played at a different theatre, the Royal Court. It's now playing on the West End. It's this West End transfer. And I don't know. You might not. It's quite a deep piece of theatre. You will send you through every emotion in the spectrum, but it's also one of the best pieces of theatre I've seen in a very long time. And so, if I know, a lot of people certainly visiting from other countries will probably head to the West End musicals. Fair enough. You want a bit of light entertainment, and I fully respect that. But if you actually want to catch British theatre at its finest, I can't recommend that show enough. And if you are maybe wanting to catch a musical that's slightly different, Oklahoma's playing at the moment, a revival of Oklahoma, and it's not your classic, very happy, light-spirited Oklahoma. It's a slight darker twist. It's really interesting show. I'm trying to think of like a film director that is closest to it. And I can't really think of one, but certainly the way the end goes, and this will probably give a few things away, but it's the easiest way I can describe it. Very Tarantino-esque at the end is all I'm going to say. But I think those are my recommendations. If you want something close and easy and you want to understand a bit more of the spirit of London, I recommend heading down to Greenwich Village. Great place to check out. And if you are wanting to catch a show, for Black Boys, Oklahoma, or just any of your standard musicals, Wicked, Book of Mormon, Lion King, it's all just great entertainment value stuff that you've been on the West End and you've seen a show then.
Oh, and one jump in. If you're going to watch Cursed Child, remember it's 2 parts. Because I think people have been quite out before and the book's like one part and not done the other, which rookie. But I know obviously it is very difficult talking Potter at the moment. But what I would say is there's so many, people would be coming over here. It's, to me, Harry Potter and Bond are the two, not like pinnacles of British cinema, but in terms of franchise, in terms of IP, Bond and Harry Potter, there's always tours for tourism stuff for each of those filming locations. And and as I said, everything's happened. It's more difficult to talk about now, but there's a lot of, if you really wanted to do it, but you don't want to support it, there's a lot of independent stuff where no money goes that way. I just wanted to quickly plug that because personally for me, like when I went to Chicago, I was like, Dark Knight trilogy, excellent. And it was all Batman stuff for me. And I know that I think a lot of people coming to the UK, there's going to be so many things. One of my favorites is, if anyone remembers the first 101 Dalmatians, there's a bike chase where he basically does the entirety of London in about 30 seconds. But there's a brilliant GoldenEye Leicester Square on. So I was like, they filmed that in 1995. But yes, there's a lot of filming stuff. If people are into filming things like that, then there's so many websites which is like famous filming locations in London because I really enjoy stuff like that. But yes, sorry, Dave, jump on.
No, that's fine. For especially on things in the night, I'm coming down from Newcastle up here, and I'm just, to be honest, a lot of mine I'm not looking at the big events that are going on. I'm just more on a night, if you're with a group of friends, especially, or people you've never met before, but you've maybe been in groups, just be like, who's available, who's free, who wants to eat, who wants to have a drink, who wants to just be around, even if not going far. I think it's nice. There was a lot of groups that came out when Celebration started, and like a lot of people have obviously in time have decided to go in places, so there's going to be masses of people about. I think it's going to be a very easy thing to do. I am looking to hopefully take in a show. I think that sounds excellent, but I'm really going to try and see Matilda while I'm down there. It's something I've wanted to see for a while, so I'm going to try and see that on maybe the Friday or Saturday night. But so I think there's so much to do. I don't think you'll be able to open your phone, those Facebook groups everywhere, the things that are happening around, certainly regarding the Celebration, Star Wars. But after a full day of conventioning, you may just want to switch off from it at the end of the day and go, you know what, I don't want to go and hang out in a Star Wars themed thing. I just want to get away from it for a night, go somewhere for just a quiet drink, something to eat, and then start again the next day. So there's going to be so much to do.
Yeah. Oh, massively.
No, absolutely. And we've got a couple of comments going to go through. So Matt says, so at the end, everyone took their shoes off. That was the Tarantino play.
Just toes everywhere. Yeah.
Actually, not far off.
So we've got Dr. Mad Studio. So he's been going to conventions for 10 years. He's always wanted to go to Celebration, but he's coming to the fact he never will. Not because just outside of Britain, it's too expensive for my wallet. I don't live in London anyway, which makes it hard. I'll never get a chance to meet people at Hamill, Eckstein. But I'm thankful to have met people like Prowse, Baker, Bullock, Warren Davis, Julian Glover, Robert Watts, Alan Harris. That sounds sad in the sense that so many of those passed away. That's very scary how quickly that's been the last few years. Traveling by car, these car train plays not cheap, not to mention the cost of living is however hard it has disposable incomes nowadays. Listen for other conventions. I'm going through all these because the polite thing to do. Next month is Stoke come Trent on April 23rd. A few stars, people
Nice.
in Clam. So sometimes the best it's the guns and what's over its ways. And this is the key, my friends. If you like getting autographs, I do. Think things are expensive, don't do it. It's ink. You are ultimately, for me, I want the experience of meeting them, right? But you're ultimately, what you are receiving is ink on paper. Yeah. Always go with what's at your disposal. And, you know, not going to get political about how bad things are in this country at the moment, but things are pretty terrible in this country at the moment, have been and will continue to be. So, yeah, don't overblow something. You know, I've known people that have gone to these conventions and it's so easy. I know you're not going, but I know it's so easy on day one, 10 a.m. Look, a dark saber. You know, it can happen. It can happen. I've not gone that route, luckily, but I had to restrain myself yesterday from ordering that Lego Indiana Jones. I'm like, no. End of the month. Wait till next month for that, or the month after if I'm recovering from this event still. Yeah. And this is it. You know, go with what's at your disposal. And this is kind of the problem with. I won't say Star Wars Celebration. I will say, I know last week I went on a massive tangent about autograph collecting, why that's all gone up in price because of lockdown, because of independent companies doing private signings of actors, which has raised the pricing outside of private signings. Yeah, it's not great at the moment, and this is it. It's not been a cheap event. You know, I know people that haven't been able to go because of money and whatnot, which is understandable. My sister was one. She just bought a house. She couldn't justify, you know, nearly 4 days in London at this event for that, which I fully understand. And I've got a shopping list, and then the shopping list, and this is a great tease. Go on the Celebration store, and it now has the prices on because you can immediately start figuring out what is now at your pricing. Like myself and her today, I've been giving a list, and now the pricing is attached to the list. It's like, whoo, let's not pay £25 for a bottle opener at the Armourer, but I will pay it for the Rancor.
I think it's really important to your budget is so important. I mean, I've been saving up since when you were going, when it was over here. I've got an envelope that I have saved money into, so it's there. I know how much I've got. That is there to spend. That's what I've set aside for it. You can go crazy. There will be so much stuff to buy, to look at, and these things will entice you. But always stick to a set amount. Know how much you've got to spend over that weekend. Don't start thinking, well, I'm on a trip and I'm on a special occasion. I'll just grab this thing that maybe I wouldn't normally buy. But if it's going to break the bank for you, leave it. End of the day, anything you buy at this convention, it's just stuff. Like, I don't know, that's a weird way to put it. Like, you could buy something that, I'll spend £400 that maybe I wouldn't spend. Maybe I don't have on something that might sit on a shelf and you may never really think about again. So always remember, at the end of the day, as much as we love this, it's stuff. And it's not important. The event and having a good time and being around people who are loving the same thing, and that is much more important than something you might put on a shelf if it's going to break your bank and could put people in little bits of trouble. It's just, I think it's important to remember.
It's easy to do, especially. I mean, I'm going to show something, and this is something I don't regret. This is something I almost regretted. This is my Space Slug pen pot, and I will bring this up every time I will. One of the best things there's ever been made. I'm sorry, but why this wasn't mass-produced, I will never know. It's been my pride for many years. And at the job I worked at before, when I came back from Celebration, I came into the office on the Monday after I landed or whatever, in a depressing mood because I was back at work, in this Darth Maul jacket and no one likes Star Wars, and with this Space Slug pen pot. Just everyone was like, what on earth is that? I still maintain that's one of the best things I've ever bought. But at that same event, for some reason, in a drawer I found when I was moving rooms in December, I was like, I forgot I bought this from Star Wars Celebration. It was a box of like 8 pins, and it was each Star Wars title. So don't get me wrong, I know the titles, I like the logos. Why did I buy probably $40-50? A box of pins, wait for it, that obviously didn't have episode 9 because it hadn't been announced until that event. So, you know, it's so easy to buy stuff there that you don't need. But I would genuinely say to if you're going to pick something up, and this is my logic, you know, there's certain things I want. I think, what will I do with this outside of this event? Is it a memento from the convention? And that's great to have stuff like that. You know, the pen pot there, that was Regal Robot. It wasn't cheap. I wouldn't probably pay for that if that was like a. I mean, they don't really ship to England properly. We have to spend a ridiculous amount. That was more of a. I don't think I'll ever get to buy something from Regal Robot again. So this will be my big thing I'm taking home with me. It's a pen pot. It's very functional. At the same time, you know, I mentioned these pins. If you find something you know that you want, get it. If you know, I used to get the Black Series figures at the Star Wars Celebration because that's a memento. I got the Kylo Ren. That was London 2016. Phantom Menace one was 2019. I'm not getting the terrible Darth Vader one for this year because I don't need to buy it for the sake of saying this is my memento for this. So when you're budgeting for stuff, you know, budget for in the event, budget for 4 days. Can't recommend that enough. Sort of know at Chicago, spent everything on day one. Yeah, I mean, I've done this easy to do stuff at conventions. And this is kind of Matt's but stuff. How dare you, sir?
Sorry,
but listen, it's great, and I admit I used to be charismatic at conventions, but I've got an order and wider, and everything comes with experience. There's nothing wrong with that. We've all done it. No, anyone that's telling you I've gone to a convention and never overspent is lying.
Yeah,
they have never had a perfect 100% ratio. And the old one, the Funko collectors that I used to know would always say, what was it? When I used to get pops and stuff, someone would say when their wife asked them how much it costs, they just halve the amount. And it's something along those lines. So, and listen, I do that even when like I get quizzed on, you know, why did I buy this? Never done anything with it, and I'm just sort of sat there like, well, you know, it's the way it is. He'll be joining the 30 Club on April 10th. Well, I hope you have a lovely birthday. You've only just under 4 weeks. But that's kind of it for the. As I said, you know, there's going to be some really cool exclusives, and this is why, if you want to get those mementos, try and find out pricing before you go in, because then you can budget around it. It will help you. It will make it easier. I don't know I'm probably not going to buy 4 pint glasses that cost me £70 because there's a. Sorry, I've just laughed. I just laughed at a comment Matt's just put, which is actually fantastic in its own right. I have a Darth Maul salt and pepper shake from 2019, and it's still in the box. I'm immensely happy I bought it. Oh, you're moving in. I know Matt's been doing a big renovation project, and I'd like to see the Darth Maul salt and pepper shaker make that kitchen appearance.
Yeah, front and center.
Has anyone else had the R2D2 pizza cutter before? It used to make noises. We've had that in the house. You know, Phil had his famous Star Wars oven mitts from his mystery box. Probably one of the worst things anyone's ever received in their life. But even if you buy something crap at a convention, at least you'll have a good memory for it. But this is it. So budgeting is important. And this is said, it's going to help you. If you really, like Dave said, if you really want to go to a show, maybe like something's come up you want to do in London that you didn't know about, and you save a little bit more for that. You'll be able to do it. You know, it depends, of course, how long you're in England. If you want to go to a British cinema, you know, they're all different prices. Don't buy popcorn. Take your own in. I'll say that too. But again, you know, we're just trying to help with stuff like this, and it is so easy to spend money in these convention centres. And you know, I'm worried. I'm trying to buy a Wicked Brick case, my Millennium Falcon at the moment for the Lego, and that's going to be a budgeting task now. I've seen that.
Yeah, I realised like while we're saying that, and I recommend going to West End Theatre, which can't always be cheap. So I recommend people downloading an app called Today Tix. Tix spelled Tix. They usually have. You can usually find cheaper tickets, and they usually have what's called rush tickets, which means you can grab tickets for around £20-25. Yeah, that's the one.
So that's it. Today Tix, red box. I mean, it's always, you get notifications as well, don't you, with the rush tickets when they pop up when the sale's on.
Yeah. And so, you know, you can usually grab your tickets £20-25. I went to see Sylvia at the Old Vic last week, and we rocked up on the day. I mean, I checked beforehand that they still had tickets on sale. And literally, as I rocked up, they went, "Oh, you're probably just here at a good time, because I think we're just about to mark down our prices." Nice. And they did. And we ended up, I think, 2 tickets in the stalls that were originally 75 each, we got for 40 each. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, that was lucky, because there are people that do queue up for the shows as well.
But this is it, and you can get that. You can get those offers, and they're great to work around from. Especially, you know, it's going to be. I mean, London's a busy place. But it's also Easter bank. You know, the schools are all off for the next couple of weeks, so it's going to be busier than normal, and it's always busy. But that, if you want to get in that Lego store, be prepared to queue. Luckily, it's bigger now, so hopefully they get you through quicker. But aside from that, we've covered a lot of what we've wanted to speak about today. I'm just double checking that schedule. Sorry, one thing for autographs, because last week was the autograph episodes. Yesterday morning, I've got a couple booked. I got an email saying you've now been assigned a time for your autograph session on a day. If you don't like the time they've given you, go on to the Epic Photo Store Ops, go into your account. They will be able, you might be able to, depend on the guests if they're full or not, change your ticket slots around. So if you're trying to juggle your schedule, if you're figuring out things, who can I meet, who can I not, if their time's going to work, you can do all of that within. So don't think you've got to stick to that time. And they seem very loose. It just seems more to like morning, afternoon, evening, rather than a specific window like in Chicago. So that's a big one. And that's very important. You might have booked a Saturday autograph and you might have got into panel and you might be thinking, oh, can't do both. It might let you move the Saturday autograph to the Monday. So do look into that. And another big one, make sure all your badges are activated. I've got two friends that have been messaging me this morning. I didn't realize you needed to activate the badges. And they've now done all of that and they're ready for the event. Because if you don't have that badge activated, you ain't getting in. And you have to wear the badge when you're on the inside. So that's a really important one. And it's quite easy to forget because UK conventions are so different. That's not a system that other UK conventions have. You know, normally you'll get a stamp on your arm or you'll get a wristband if you're doing the weekends. This is you got to have the badge on at all times. It's how the American cons work, and it is organised by, I think, Repop. They do it now for MCM, don't they, Elliott? They've started giving
they've started activating tickets. I mean, when I go to MCM, I don't know how strict they'll be with celebration. When I go to MCM, I'm usually cosplaying Captain America, and obviously I want to get pictures, and you don't want the badge and the lanyard in the pictures. I've usually got it wrapped on my shield, on the inside of my shield, so that I can just go, there it is. If you're in cosplay and you're worried about that, see if you can put it on your person that's still visible, but you can tuck it for photos. I think that's a tip that definitely give a go. And then if security are like, no, you got to have it around your neck, then play by the rules, because you don't want your day ruined because you can't be bothered to wear your lanyard properly.
No, very good point. Actually, I thought of it for cosplayers. Yeah, that's a very important point. I want to say it again every week. Cosplayers ask for their consent for photos. It's a very simple one, but we're going to keep repeating it.
For everything.
They will have signs up, and there is a function on the app for if you are cosplaying and something happens to you, which God hope doesn't. There is a way to report stuff like that too, which is very important at an event like this. With the amount of people going, with how busy it's going to be, it's important for this sort of stuff. So, with that being said, that pretty much wraps up for today. Just looking at the thing now. I know I've left a couple in from last week, sorry, on the schedule. What I'm going to say about what we're doing on the channel, we haven't figured it out yet. We're going to, I will figure it out and ask people. That's how it goes in a very nice way. But in the meantime, we have a load of Cinema Savvy stickers that we're going to have with us at the event. We've got 150 plus. That they've all come through yesterday. I spent a lot of time. They all had to be. That was during the football, luckily, but they had to be cut apart. So if you see us, come over, say hi. I'll probably actually give some to Dave to hand out in case people see Dave. I don't have an ego. I'm very happy to share that badge of honor with you. But listen, just come say hi. We're there to celebrate Star Wars. We're there to have a good time. We're there to chat to people. We're not going to be dicks. And I don't have an ego. I'm not weird that expects people to come say hi, but it's very easy at these events. And I know a lot of people that I've bumped into at these events who I've met on the past, I've spoke to online, and just saying hi. Some people are nervous to speak. That's understandable, but just come and say hi. There's no issue with me. And also what I would say, which is, and something I never thought of until last year when I listened to a few people that were at Anaheim. Again, I don't expect people to do this sort of thing because they have an ego for it, but if we interact online on social media, which is great, I'm always pretty open with people. And if your username isn't your real name and it's not a photo of you, no one's going to know who you are. So that's just something that I never thought of until last year. That do introduce yourself as how people might know you. I know there's a lot of group chats. There's a lot of people coming overseas. I know that photos different online and stuff like that. So do come say hi. We're not going to bite. We're not going to be weird. We're there to celebrate Star Wars, and that's what we kind of want to do. So we've got these stickers to hand out. We hope people will like them. video-wise, we'll just get Mandalorian out of the way. We're going to get Mandalorian spoiler discussion up on Wednesday. Time is still not confirmed because, Dave, you're traveling at night. I know you're free at a certain time, but I don't. Well, I also don't want to guilt you and be like, come do a video like 3 hours before your coach comes away. The Mandalorian video is going to go very early this week. I haven't decided on the time, but it could be as early as like 10 in the morning. Not because I just want to do a spoilers, because I'm not. But there's a lot of stuff to plan for this event.
Yeah.
And in line with that, videos at the event, I have been very lucky in the sense that I've been saving up for something. And there's a lovely offer online. So I've been able to pick up my new camera a couple of months ahead of schedule. It's arriving tomorrow. And it doesn't come with a selfie stick. It's got an official title called like a grip or something.
If it came with a selfie stick, I wouldn't be standing with you. I'm sorry.
No one. I'd just be there, like smiling, looking around, and Dave's like, "Who's this person?" Or you're the one guy that just stares into it and doesn't react. I don't want to say I'm going to vlog the event because I'm not a vlogger per se, but there's a nice new camera and there's a function for me to start doing events now, which is something we've wanted to do for a while. So there might be videos. I don't know if it will be daily wrap-ups. I don't know if it will just be. It's not just going to be me walking around the convention floor like that train geezer on TikTok, with the weird, none of those weird sort of things. But yeah, there's going to be some stuff, and we'll try and cover it. But we don't know what that is right now. We're not a professional organization. We don't have don't have a budget. There's no camera crew. There's nothing like that. It's just people in their own time willingly doing stuff like this. So yes. Cameras, hopefully stuff. We know not everyone's going to be there, and I know Stars is Spain uploaded a really great video today of their experience at Anaheim last year. And for people that don't get the chance to go to those events for whatever reasons, they still like seeing stuff like this, and doing these thumbnails, getting old photos up is great. And I've sat there at these events saying, I've got all these photos, but I've got no videos. So maybe it's just me walking around with a camera, videoing the floor for a while. Maybe it's me at an exhibition or something. So there might be video stuff, and they'll be on our social medias if they are. I'll have all my equipment with me at the hotel. But also, I have a life to a degree. So if I want to go out that night, I will go out that night. I won't be sat in editing at a hotel. But yeah, that's that out of the way. So yeah, potentially some really cool celebration stuff. We know we're going to be in the celebration stage on the Friday, which I don't think they're going to open a curtain and John Williams turn up. So we'll have missed out on that 2 in a row. It seems to be everyone I go to, and he's in there at the one after, which I don't. So just get my hopes up for next time. But aside from that, that's going to round out everything I had to talk about today. Dave, anything you feel I've missed out on or you want to bring up for people?
No, I just think it's getting close. I hope everyone's getting prepared. I know I've got a lot of people traveling in. Just have a great time. If you get to meet people, new people, I can't wait. We've mentioned we've got like a Twitter chat that goes on, which I've met like maybe 2 people from. So there are a lot of people who are going to be there. You're meeting for the first time. Just go and really enjoy yourself. Have the best time you can, because sometimes, especially if you're in the UK, these things might not come around again. It's 7 years since I went to my last one, 2016. So these things don't come around all that often. So take it all in, take pictures, take videos, just make it as memorable as you can for yourself.
Yeah. And I think I really echo the say hello to people. I think you're right. It's really scary to say hello to new people, especially at what will be such a large event as well. But just remember, you've got something to already talk about. So it's a really easy in. Just, you might see someone in cosplay. You can ask them why they've cosplayed that person. You could, it's Star Wars. You might be walking out of a panel. Ask someone what they thought about that panel. They might have experienced it differently to you. You've already got something to talk about. So simple.
And amazing, following that, great bit of panel advice. If you don't get into the panel, if you don't get into the overspill queue, I don't know if I can say this, go to the panel exits out as it's finishing, and you probably will get the free poster. I'm not going to officially say I've done that, but I'm saying that you can try it, and it has worked in other celebrations. If you really want that poster, yeah, exactly, it is, yeah, exactly. But I will be trying that potentially. But aside from that, listen, it's been amazing having you both on. Elliott, especially coming back on the channel. Gives those London tips, especially for Greenwich, because we are so close to Greenwich as well at the event. My dad's side love it. That's where a lot of them are from. So they always talk about like Greenwich Market and stuff like that. And history-wise, there's so much there you can do. And if you are, extending your stay, if you're staying in it, it's a great place to go to. It's very different. to other parts of London too. And so much London has its own identity, and there's so much to take in there. So thank you for coming on. We've got all your socials in the description as well below. At Hakuna MaChatter, diversity channel, which has been great. It's been very eye-opening for me. Again, I think we spoke about it yesterday in a video, myself, Tate and Tom, ironically about J.K. Rowling again. It's very easy for us as straight white guys to go through a lot of life. And it's more interesting seeing what other people have been through and whatnot, and getting different points of view, which for me, Star Wars Celebration, talking about different points of view, it's Star Wars is eye-opening to that. Is how it's differentiated, and you'll see that with people, what they cosplay as. You'll see things this convention that you honestly never thought you'd see at a convention. And one of the best things I'll say to anyone, I don't know if they'll do it in the UK, the running of the hoods is one of the best thing every single time. If you don't know what the running of the hoods is, give yourself a quick Google. I will be trying to find it wherever it's going to be. Yeah. That's something I want on video, because it is sensational without question every year. Running of the hoods. What a great way to end on. But yeah, and listen, if you've not watched it live, thank you for watching. And those that have watched us, of course, thank you also for watching. And do let us know. There's a few days away. We're still going to be active. I've got one more day of work and then I'm free. But, we're still going to have a presence online. So if you've got any questions for the event, do comment it. We'll reply to those comments. Maybe you're watching in the future and you're curious about how the event went. Hopefully we've got some good coverage. But listen, it's just something to be excited about. We're a couple of days away now. It's going to be amazing seeing so many people as well. So I cannot wait. And as always, do hit the subscribe button. A lot more Star Wars Celebration, as I have said. Aside from that, gentlemen, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And to everyone at home, take care. And we'll see you on the next one.